This class is going to focus on hip strength and full body mobility. We'll start on the mat on our backs, either with your legs extended long or your knees bent. Starting with a body scan, noticing how your feet or your heels are making contact with the floor, any spaces between your feet and the floor, any difference from one side to the other. And noticing your low back, the spaces where your low back is making contact with the floor, and the spaces where you're not making contact. Any difference from the left side to the right side. Then noticing your shoulder blades and how your shoulder blades are resting on the mat. If one shoulder feels a little bit higher off the ground than the other one, or if they feel about the same. In the back of the head, does it feel like you're resting right in the center of the back of your head, or might your head be slightly tilted to the left or the right? And then last, noticing your breathing without needing to change the way that you're breathing. The sensations you feel as you inhale and exhale. Where your body is moving as you're breathing. And any sensation of effort that it takes as you're breathing. And when you have all that information gathered, you can set it aside and we'll return to it at the end. Take a moment and move in any way that would feel nice for your body. And we're going to stay on the mat for some hip strength exercises next. So you can turn on to your right side and your lower leg. Your right leg can be slightly bent. Find a comfortable place for your head to rest on your arm. Your left arm can come up as a kickstand as you extend your left leg long. I'm going to start with some leg swings forward and back. Work to keep your hips stacked, one on top of the other one. Keep your core engaged. And just notice if you can swing your leg forward and back, keeping a relaxed jaw. Trying to keep your breathing normal. Then if you want to add a little bit of extra challenge, you can pulse your leg forward twice and swing back. Pulse forward twice and swing back. That's just going to add a little bit extra challenge for your balance. Keeping your hips nice and stacked. Pulse, pulse, back. Let's try 3 more. And then let the top leg rest. You can just let it hang there and relax. Take a few breaths, adjust anything you need to adjust for your head and your neck. Our next set is going to be straight leg raises. And when you're ready, keeping the same position of the stacked hips, lift the left leg up and down. And then take a few with your foot rotated inward, so your toes will point down towards the floor. Notice how that changes the effort on the hips. And then try a few with the leg rotated externally, so your toes are pointed towards the ceiling. And then back to neutral. 3 more. And let that relax. Take a few breaths. Make any adjustments for your head or your neck. We got one more set on this side, figure eights. So the top leg, you'll bend the knee. Imagine you've got a marker on the end of your knee and you're going to swoop down and swoop up making a figure eight. Could be a vertical or horizontal figure eight, whatever works best for you. We're just working with some brain coordination and lots of hip strength here. Since we're already a little bit tired, we might only have a few more sets here. Keeping your hips stacked, your core engaged. Let's try 3 more. 1, 2, 3, and let that relax. You can take a moment to rest here on your side, or if you'd like to come onto your back, you can take a moment and rest there. And when you're ready, we'll start the second side. So now transitioning on to your left side. Same set for this side, finding a comfortable position for your head to rest. Hips are stacked. Bottom leg is bent for stability. Top arm kickstand. And we start with the leg swings forward and back. Noticing if you want to make it a little bit harder, adding those pulses. 2 pulses forward and a swing back. Let's try 3 more. And let it relax. Take a few breaths. Straight leg raises are next. Finding your ready position. Neck is supported. Kickstand is ready. Up and down. Feeling the work on the outside of the hip. Then taking a few with your leg internally rotated, toes towards the floor. And then externally rotated, toes towards the ceiling. And then back to neutral. 3 more. 2, 1, and rest. Let the top leg relax. Maybe let it extend long and dangle there for a moment. 1 more set, figure eights on this side. Hips nice and stacked, core is engaged. Bend that top knee and draw that figure eight with your knee either horizontal or vertical, keeping your kickstand and your core engaged, neck supported, relaxing your jaw, sweeping up and down or side to side. And let's try 3 more. 3, 2, 1, and let it relax. Let the leg extend long and just release. Let it hang. Notice if you'd like to rest here a few moments or on your back. And when you're ready, gently make your way up into standing. When you get there, maybe take a drink of water and a little walk around your yoga mat so that you can feel your leg strength and how it might have changed. You might feel a little more boost of support from your hips being engaged, noticing how that feels. And let's just start our standing mobility with some hip stretches since we did so much work for the hips. Imagine you're inside of the box and you're going to hit the sides of the box with the outside of your hip, just gently from side to side. Just looking for a little bit of a stretch on the outside of the hip in whatever range of motion feels good for you. And just a couple more on each side. And we'll move into our standing mobility routine, starting with the shoulders. Gentle circles towards the floor, letting your hands be lazy and your shoulders do the work. Then as you feel ready, you can bring your arms out to the sides, maybe forward, noticing if it would feel okay for your arms to come up overhead, or if you like them to stay forward, and just search around in these spaces where you can make arm circles. Maybe taking a few a little bit more quickly, a few a little bit more slowly, a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger. Just noticing how it feels in your body today. Noticing if one arm feels a little bit more ready for arm circles than the other one. Let's let that relax a little bit, and then we'll do alternating circles, one side and then the other across the center of the body. So this also works our brain. As we cross the center of the body, we use both sides of our brain instead of just one. Then add a little bit of effort like you're swimming and you have to pull against the water, starting to engage the upper back as well, maybe a little bit of torso rotation. And when you're ready, let that relax, shake it out, and bow and arrow is next. Arms open out to the side, palms come together. Draw back like you're drawing back on a bow and arrow, and then extend your arms wide and repeat. Try to find that effort of pulling, feeling the muscles lengthening, reaching, and repeating. Following the moving hand with your eyes so that your neck is also starting to warm up. And let's do one more on this side. Shake it out, and then we'll switch to the other side. Same thing, palms come together, pull back with effort, and close the hands together, leading with that elbow. And one more. And shake it out, let it relax. And we'll move into standing cat-cow. Tuck the tailbone, reach the arms forward. The more you tuck the tail, the more you reach forward. The more sensation of stretch you'll probably feel. To reverse, draw your hands and elbows back behind you. Reach your chest forward and your tail behind. You can let your gaze look upward a little bit if that's comfortable. And reverse, tuck the tail, reach forward, gaze towards the floor. And repeat at your own pace, holding where it feels good for you to hold a little longer. This is a nice warm up for the spine. And take a couple more in each direction. And then we'll move to the side body next. So checking in with the side body first before we start. Gentle rotation, letting your arms swing from side to side, and just notice the sensations that you feel as you rotate, where your body wants to swing back forward, and any sensations that you can notice. And come back to center, and we'll see if we can lengthen side body muscles a little bit, drawing the armpit towards the hip on one side, and then lengthening up and over like we're giving a high five to our friend off to the side. Contract and lengthen. You can also bring your arm across the front of the body if that feels nicer for your head or neck. And as you take a few, maybe you can notice if your range of motion can change just a little bit with each repetition. Let me take a couple more here. And when you feel like there's been a little bit of a shift, let's just check in with the side we haven't worked with yet and see if we can feel anything different from one side to the other. And then when you're ready to start the second side, repeat, contract the armpit towards the hip, lengthen, contract and lengthen. Finding that sensation of contraction and lengthening will help us find a little bit more range of motion here, releasing tension in the side body. And just notice when you feel like both sides had an equal chance, and you can alternate from one side to the other when you feel ready. And as you switch from one side to the other, maybe add a little variation, reaching more towards the floor a couple times, then maybe reaching up and behind you a couple times. Adding a little bit of change with each direction that you're reaching, just to let your brain and your body integrate the sensation of reaching with lengthened side body muscles. Once you feel like that's been enough exploring, you can come back to your gentle rotation and see if anything feels different. Sometimes it feels a little bit lighter or more springy. Sometimes we can even rotate a little bit more behind us. And then once you're done noticing, you can bring that back to center, and we'll move to the hips. So standing inside of an imaginary box, reaching the left hip to the left front corner of the box, the right hip to the right front corner. Just in the range of motion that feels comfortable for you. Finding a little bit of sensation of stretch on the outside of the hips. Notice if you like to change your foot distance a little bit, closer together or farther apart. Then when you're ready, you can turn this into a half circle. So reach forward, sweep back behind you. Reach forward, sweep back. And as you swing from side to side, just notice if there's any spots that feel a little bit bumpy or sticky, and go slower over those spots to help your brain and your muscles connect better. You can even go back and forth like a pencil eraser over that same spot a couple times to help to smooth it out. And then when you're ready for the next direction, come back to center, and now we'll reach towards the back corners. Left hip to the left back corner, right hip to the right back corner. Just a couple times to find that range of motion that feels right for you today, switching the distance of your feet if you'd like, closer together or farther apart. And then turn it into a half circle, reaching back, swinging forward, reaching back, swinging forward. Same thing in this direction, going slowly over any spots that feel bumpy or sticky, going back and forth to help smooth those spots out. Maybe noticing a sensation of stretch on the inner thighs. If you'd like to lengthen the distance between your feet, you can get a little bit more stretch on the inside of the legs. And then when you're ready to put both circles together, go around a few times in one direction. And then the other direction. When you're ready, come back to center. And we're going to switch most of our weight to one foot so that we can go from the outside edge to the inside edge of the other foot, just gently back and forth to help stretch out the sides of the ankle. And then trace around the edges of your foot in a circular motion a few times in one direction. And then reverse the other direction. When you're ready, switch sides. Outside edge to inside edge of the other foot, a couple times back and forth. Then trace around the edges. And reverse. With that relaxed, come back to your neutral standing position. One more stretch for the neck. Reach one ear towards the ceiling. Option to bring that hand out to the side. Fingertips float up towards the ceiling. Heel of the hand reaches down. Wiggle the fingers a little bit for an extra release, keeping the ear reaching up, relaxing the jaw. When you're ready, back to center, relax that side. Second side, ear reaches towards the ceiling. Option for your hand to come out to the side. Wiggle the fingers like you're playing the piano. At an incline, fingers reaching up, heel of the hand reaching down. Ear to the ceiling, jaws relaxed. And back to center. One more time, ear to the ceiling. This time, tuck the chin down. Same option to bring the hand out to the side. Now with the ear reaching up, chin tucking down, we shift the stretch a little bit farther back on the neck. Relaxing the jaw, reaching the ear maybe a tiny bit more up towards the ceiling. Back to center, and last time, second side. Ear to the ceiling, tuck the chin down. Same option for your hand off to the side. Relax the jaw. And back to center. Let's end with some figure eights with our nose, starting to look at a little bug on our shoulder and then listen to the little bug. Then follow the bug flying from that shoulder over to the other shoulder. Look at the bug, listen to the bug, watch him fly over to the other side. Look at the bug, listen to the bug, and watch him fly to the other side. And just take that a few more times at your own pace, really finding the edges of your range of motion that feel comfortable for you to work with today. Just giving the neck a little bit of extra release. And we're drawing a figure eight horizontally with the tip of our nose, but thinking about the bug, I think, helps us find a better range of motion that works for us today. And when you're ready, let that relax. Maybe just take a couple of movements of your head and shoulders in any way that would feel comfortable. And let's just come back to the wrists, gently flexing and extending the wrists in front of the body. Bending the wrist forward and back. Just finding a gentle pace that feels comfortable. Maybe the breath wants to match the movement a little bit. Maybe your hands want to float up a little bit higher. And the next time your hands come down, use some effort and push some pillars into the floor. Let them float back up and push down. A couple more times like that. Engaging the upper back and shoulders. And you can go back to the gentle movement a few more times, rising and falling at a pace that feels comfortable for you. And when you're ready, let that relax. And take any movement that would feel nice in your body. Take a drink of water if you like. We're going to move to our balance practice next. And today we're going to be mirroring the leg strength exercise that we started with on the mat, except we'll be doing it in standing. To get started, take your feet about hip distance apart, and we're going to take some squats. Like we have a board in front of our shins, we're just going to sit back behind us, push into the floor as we stand up, squeeze our glutes at the top, and repeat a few times. As you squeeze your butt, make sure that you're squeezing evenly on both sides so you have equal effort from one side to the other. A couple more. Just engaging the glutes to help us with our balance practice. And then let's transfer weight to one foot and just start in a kickstand, seeing how we feel here today with our balance. And then as you feel ready, you can start to swing your leg forward and back, having a little bit of a knee bend so that you don't trip on the floor. Your hands can be wherever it feels comfortable. If you'd like to have them on your hips, out to the side, holding together in front. You can add the pulse forward and the swing back. Try to keep your core engaged. Pretend you have an apple balancing on top of your head and your standing glute is nice and strong. 3 checkpoints to keep in mind, as well as a relaxed jaw. Pulsing forward if that feels comfortable. Let's take just a few more. 2, 1, and let it relax. Both feet can come down. We're going to stay on that same side, just taking a few squats in between here before we go into the second set. Second set will be leg raises out to the side. When you're ready, same side. Okay, second set. Leg lifts out to the side. Core is engaged, glutes engaged. Apple balancing on top of your head. Keep that glute engaged on the standing leg so that you can stand up nice and straight and not collapse out to the side. Let's try a few internal rotation, toes towards the inside of your other leg, lifting out to the side, and then external rotation, toes away from the body. Hands can be wherever it feels comfortable. Back to neutral a few more times. 2, 1, and both feet can come down. Let that relax. Take a few squats as we get ready for our last set on this side. Glutes are working evenly as you squeeze to stand. And last set on this side. Figure 8s with your knee, sweeping out and in. Horizontal figure 8. Nice and strong in your core, in your standing glute. Apples balancing nicely on top of your head. See if you can make that figure 8 a little bit bigger, tiny bit bigger. Standing up nice and tall, keeping your core and glute engaged. Let's try 3 more. 3, 2, 1, and let that relax. Both feet can come down. That was it for that side. Great work. Same set on the other side. So we'll start in our kickstand, getting ready for our swings forward and back. Nice and strong in our core, strong in our glute, balancing that apple. Leg swing forward and back. Noticing how that feels today. Where you'd like to have your hands. Then if you'd like to add that pulse forward, you can pulse forward and swing back. Couple more. And when you're ready, let that come down to the floor. Take a rest. A few more squats here. Feel the weight of your body in the feet. Push against the floor to stand. Feeling equal effort on both glutes as you stand up. Next, we have leg lifts out to the side. You can stay with the swings forward and back if that felt comfortable. Or if you'd like to try something different, leg lifts out to the side. Standing glute is engaged so that you can stay nice and tall. Abdominals are engaged. Internal rotation, toes pointed in, heel pointed out. External rotation, toes point away from the body. Back to neutral. 3 more. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Take the squats again before our last set. So we've got the figure eights next. You could repeat either of the first 2 sets or move on to the figure 8 if you like something different. When you're ready, come into your kickstand. Find your readiness. Glutes engaged, cores engaged, standing nice and tall. Swinging out to the side, drawing a figure 8 with your knee. Let's try a few more. 3, 2, 1. Both feet can come down. Take your squats one last time. We'll move into our anchor practice next. Take a drink of water, move your body in any way that would feel comfortable. And when you're ready to find your anchor position, feet will turn slightly inward, like 5 or 10%. Shift your hips back so you feel your heels plug in. Gentle bend in the knees. Then draw your feet together like you have one foot on a boat, one foot on a dock, and you're trying to pull them closer together with your feet. You might feel the inside of your thighs working, outside of your glutes, your butt muscles working. And for your upper body, let's hold the anchor. You can keep that in place. Imagine you have 2 swords in your hand. You're going to stick them into the floor, really stab them into the floor, and then externally rotate them. So you're pushing down and rotating outwards. So you can feel your shoulder blades engage in your upper back. Maybe your shoulder blades can slide a little bit towards your back pockets. Then let your nose slightly turn upward. Your chin comes upward. And then just tuck your chin down like you're holding on to an apple. Underneath your chin, maybe feeling a little bit of stretch and length in the back of your neck. So we've got the upper body engaged, a little stretch for the back of the neck, and we're still holding our anchor in our lower body. Keep your anchor, drop your swords, shake it out, relax your neck. And then when you're ready, release your anchor, shake it out a little bit. Let's go the other way. So that was internal anchor. Now we're going to go external anchor. Same foot position, toes slightly turned in. Shift the weight back into the heels. Happy and free toes, gentle bend in the knees. Now we're going to push the boat away from the dock. So we're pushing out with our feet. You can maybe even externally rotate them a little bit to find a little bit more engagement in the hips and glutes. Kind of like you're corkscrewing your feet into the floor, pushing outward. But keep that push boat away from the dock. Then let's bring those swords back, push them into the floor so the shoulder blades slide down the back pockets. Keep that external anchor. See if you can keep your shoulder blades packed while you drop your swords, but keep that engagement of the shoulder blades. Try to reach your hands forward while the shoulder blades are still packed down. You can stop about here if that's where you can keep that shoulder blade engagement. Just trying to find how far forward you can bring your fingertips and still feel the shoulder blades sliding down your back, engaging downward so that your shoulders are down. Let's hold this for a few seconds. Keep that external anchor pushing out. Fingertips pushing in. That's a brain workout, isn't it? Keep your anchor. Release your upper body. And when you're ready, drop your anchor, shake it out. So notice which one you liked better. If you want to practice one or the other, we're going to add it in to some forward folds and back extension. So finding your foot position, toes slightly turned in, hips back, gentle bend in the knees. Choose your anchor, in or out. Then take your hands to the front of your thighs and use your anchor to gently let your body fold forward. So your seat's going to stick out back behind you like you're trying to shut the car door with your butt. And try to keep the work in the lower body. And once you fold forward as far as you like, use your anchor to help your body come back to standing. So zero work in the low back. Just that anchor is helping us lower back down. And come back up when you're ready. Take that at your own pace a few more times. You can switch between inner or outer anchor as you go. When you come back up to standing, just notice if you'd like to sweep your arms up and take a little back bend, keeping your anchor to help you. Folding forward again, using your anchor. And you can move in between forward fold and extended mountain with a little gentle back bend if you like. Just a few more times at your own pace, following your breath and the range of motion that feels good for you today. And when you feel ready to be done, just notice if there's any way your body would like to move while you're in standing, if you'd like to take a drink of water. And we'll move down to the mat next for some core work and then release for the lower body. So when you're ready, you can come on down to your back. Feet on the floor, knees bent. We're going to work with our toe taps after we practice with our arch and flatten. So arms at your side, arch and flatten first. Gently tilt your pelvis forward towards your heels. So you create a small arch in your low back. Let your belly be soft and let your head nod in any direction that it would like to move. And when you're ready to release, just let your back melt towards the floor. Let everything go. On the other direction, tuck your tail. So you flatten your spine into the mat, contract your abdominals so that you can make an imprint of your spine in the mat. And when you're ready, release to neutral. Take a few breaths, and we'll take that one more time. Rock the pelvis forward towards the heels. Create a small arch in the low back. Let the head move as it would like to. Belly is soft. When you're ready to release, let everything go. Melt towards the floor. Another direction. Tuck the tail to flatten the spine. Contract the abdominals. Let the head move as it would like to. And then let everything go. So arch and flatten helps us to release tension in the front and the back of the body. Also helps us train a tucked tail. So that's the position we want to take for our toe taps. So starting, tuck the tail to flatten your spine, contract the abdominals, hold this position as you come onto your tiptoes on the mat, and then lift one leg off the floor and tap it down, and then the other leg and tap it down. And just alternate tapping onto the floor and explore the direction away from your body that you can tap the floor and still keep your tail tucked. So we want to stay in this contracted abdominal position. To make it a little bit harder, make sure your knees don't come closer to your face than your hips. So you can have your hands kind of at stoppers where your hips are so that your legs don't come back farther. That just gives the muscles more of a rest if they come back farther. So having the stoppers makes it harder. Another way to make it harder is to tap farther away from the body, but just make sure you can keep your tucked tail as you do that. You can take a break at any point. If you can do a few more, let's try 3, 2, 1, and then let your feet come down and let it relax. Take your arch and flatten a couple times just to release. Rocking the pelvis forward towards the heels. Belly is soft. Small arch in the low back. You can press the shoulder blades into the mat if you'd like to grow the arch a little bit bigger. And let everything melt. And then tuck the tail to flatten the spine. Contract the abdominals. And we'll move into our lower body release. Let's keep the left foot on the floor, reach the right foot towards the ceiling. You can hold behind the right thigh as you gently point and flex the right foot. Within a range of motion that feels comfortable today. And you can add in a knee bend as you draw your toes back, bend your knee, straighten your leg, point your toes, and do this movement with effort, like you're really pushing and drawing back, finding that effort in the muscles as you contract and lengthen. Just a couple more. And then the next time you bend your knee, you can hold it there and take a few ankle circles in one direction and a few in the other direction. And let's cross the right foot over the left for a figure 4 stretch. Open the right knee out to the side. You can keep that opening out to the side, or if you want a little bit bigger stretch, reach behind your left thigh. Let that foot come off the floor and draw closer towards your chest, keeping the right knee opening out to the side. Relax your jaw, relax your shoulders. And bring the left foot back down. Extend the left leg long. Use your left hand to cross the right leg over the left leg off to the side for lying spinal twist. And you can explore the position of your draped right leg, just so that you can feel a stretch on the outside of the hip, keeping both shoulders on the mat. Maybe you can send a few breaths into that hip, help it release a little bit more and relax. Then when you're ready to be kind to the low back, let's bend the right leg and help that one come down to the floor next. Set the right foot down. Now we're going to reach the left foot towards the ceiling. Same thing on this side, point and flex the left foot. Finding that movement of effort, engaging the muscles to contract and lengthen. Adding that knee bend as you draw the toes back, bend the knee, straighten the leg, point the toes. Couple more. Next time you bend your knee, keep it there so that you can take a few ankle circles in one direction and then the other direction. Figure 4 stretch. Cross the left ankle over the right thigh. Open the knee out to the side. You can stay here or reach behind your right thigh. Let it come off the floor and draw it closer to your chest. Keeping the knee opening out to the side. When you're ready, set your foot down. Lengthen your right leg. Draw your left leg across the center of the body, lying spinal twist. Keeping the shoulders on the mat. Just finding just the right place to feel a little stretch on the outside of the hip. Taking a few breaths into the hip to release. And being kind to the low back. When we're ready, bend the left knee, set that foot back onto the floor. Slide your right foot back up and just take a couple more arch and flatten here. Rock the pelvis forward towards your heels. Belly is soft. Small arch in the low back. Option to grow the arch a little bit more, pressing your shoulder blades into the mat. Let everything melt. Untuck the tail. Flatten the spine into the mat. And release. And let the legs extend long. And imagine that you're lying on top of a steering wheel or a paper plate under your low back. And as the paper plate turns to the right, your right hip comes closer to your right armpit and your left hip extends away from the body and the left leg gets a little bit longer than the right. And back to neutral, turning the steering wheel to the left. The left hip comes closer to the right armpit. The right hip extends away from the body. The right leg gets a little bit longer than the left leg. And back to neutral. You can also think of it like you have a string around your left ankle and you have a friend pulling the string so that your left leg is extending, lengthening away from your body and back to neutral. And then they're pulling on a string around your right ankle and the right leg extends longer away from the body. And just take that movement a couple times just to feel the lengthening of the muscles in the low back around the hips and pelvis. And then when you're ready, you can find the position where you started. If your feet were on the floor with your knees bent or your legs were extended long, and just take a moment to notice how your body feels now, since we began. Any change with how your feet or your heels are making contact with the floor, how your low back is resting on the mat, how your shoulder blades are resting, the back of your head, and your breathing. You can stay here for as long as you like, giving your brain an opportunity to recognize and integrate any changes that you'd like to take forward with you. And when you're ready, you can gently turn to one side and make your way to seated. Thanks so much for practicing today. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.